Okay, so according to that four main yoga styles, it's very important that we understand that in the beginning, in the ancient times, we normal people had no access to yoga. That was actually really just for a handful of selected people and mostly the Brahmans. And that was the priests in India. Even if yoga in the day of today is neutral and open to everybody, we have to understand that in the really beginning, so let's say we found the first pictures in caves in the Himalayas 10,000 years ago. But we speak about that yoga, what we are knowing about 5,000 years ago. So, okay, let it be between 5 and 10,000 years ago, where just a few, and always men, of course, so the females had no access to that. I have to say that's, of course, not what we want to hear in the day of today, but we have to see the traditions. So, the men had access, and there was all priests, and we women had no access to that. We could not become priests, and of course we had no access to yoga. So in the day of today, that yoga is modern, that yoga has gone with the time. Everybody can access can access to the yoga. Individual from his gender, individual from his background, from his culture, from his religion. So it's open to everybody. And very important, yoga in a modern time is not religious, but yes, it's spiritual. And that's a totally two different thing. Being spiritual is that you accept that you are part of nature, that you are part of the universe, that you are part of something else. And religious is often, we put you into a box and you have to believe that. And if you don't follow that rules of this specific religion, then you get punished for that. And that's not the case with yoga. And that's why I'm saying it's modern and it has changed. And that's why everybody has access. And at the end, we come back to karma. Whatever you are doing comes back to you. And that's why Karma Yoga is so important. So you can see it's a neutral thing, spiritual, but not religious. Now, in the 6th century, Buddha's influence came into the yoga. As a lot of people said, hey, we are not happy with that just priests and men have access to a higher spiritual life. Buddha said, this is a right for everybody. And he was fighting and finding his way to make a spiritual life simply accessible to everybody. And that is where that tradition of that old yoga started transforming into the modern time where everybody had that access. And there are many, many aspects of yoga which are not commonly known. And one of the most important aspects is that the most people mix up the term Ashtanga yoga with a specific yoga practice. And this is a big, big mistake, which is very important that you understand it. Okay, let's go into that. If you go or if you see a timetable wherever, in a fitness studio or in a yoga school or wherever, where it's written that you have from 6 till 7 Ashtanga yoga, that's the wrong use of the term Ashtanga yoga. Remember that Ashtanga yoga means the 8 pathway, and that includes self-restraint, also discipline for yourself, discipline in society. It includes also, of course, pranayama, asana, the withdrawal of the senses, what we call in this case pratyahar. So the idea is that you've used through that 8 pathway, through that 8 different practices, with that ultimate reality. So if there is written now on a timetable 1 hour Ashtanga yoga, then it normally refers to a vinyasa, Mysore style of yoga class. Or you could say also a class from Pattabhi Jois, Mysore yoga. But in Mysore school of yoga, they use the asana part in the 8 pathway, in a vinyasa, what they call the primary series. But all yogis practice the 8 pathway independently of the asana part, what they are doing. So you have to understand that Ashtanga yoga refers to the 8 pathway and not to one of the steps, which is called asana, independently if it's now a hatha yoga or vinyasa yoga. So 8 pathway means always that you follow that 8 folds or ways of yoga to find that state of samadhi and to fusion Atman with Paramatman. Okay, so that is very important that you understand it. We will come later into the difference what is Hatha Yoga and what is Vinyasa Yoga. But at the end, all the traditional yoga styles, like we have them in a day of today, the modern as the traditional ones, all come from the Hatha Yoga. Without the Hatha Yoga, the Vinyasa would not exist. Now, just as a small question in between, if you practice Hatha Yoga, it could be Sivananda Yoga, Satyananda Yoga, Yin Yoga, whatever it is, even Iyengar Yoga is Hatha Yoga. When do you have in all that Hatha Yoga styles a flow or a vinyasa in Surya Namaskar? And that Surya Namaskar from the Hatha Yoga was actually the idea to different teachers to say, I want to do my yoga class all in a flow. And from there, from that Hatha tradition with the sun salutation, then the Vinyasa, which is a very modern style of yoga, started to spread out, specifically to the United States, and then from the United States into the Western world. So that is very important that you understand that. And yoga, any kind of style you do, let it be again Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, or Jnana Yoga, or if you say you practice the 8 pathway, which is the Raja Yoga, independently if you do now Ashtanga or Hatha Yoga, also Vinyasa, sorry, my mistake, see? So the Vinyasa Yoga or the Hatha Yoga, all of them should have a goal that you find happiness and peace and prosperity in your life. It keeps body and mind healthy, and it should lead you to something higher, being more mindful, being more conscious, and with these actions, becoming more aware that you're part of something higher. So I call it always the chocolate cake. You are a piece of the chocolate cake. That ultimate reality, whatever that is for you, is the full chocolate cake, and you are part of it. So, or you could also say the drop leads into the ocean. You are the drop. The ultimate reality, again, whatever it is for you, is the ocean. You are connected to something higher. Yoga also, we speak now about asanas and meditation as it works mentally as physically, and have here, of course, the benefit for you, corrects disorders in body and mind. So it's tranquilizing, it gives you inner peace, it keeps the body flexible, the joints healthy, it gives you strength. But it's very important that if you become a yoga teacher, if you call yourself a yogi, that you study and practice yoga in its true form. And that means that we should not mix up things. If you teach a classical Hatha class, teach a classical Hatha class. If you teach a Vinyasa class, it should be a traditional, well-set Vinyasa class. What you should definitely avoid is mixing up Pilates with yoga. That would be yoga lattes. No, because you would lose what is the meaning of yoga if you start mixing things up. So it's very important that we give to our students, and you to your own future students, the right meaning of what means and what is yoga.